Hi friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Agile Top 50 Interview Question Answer series that everybody must know if you're in IT. Whether you are a developer, QA, product manager, or scrum master, or any role in IT, you must know this 50 top question answer series on Agile. Let's get started. Before we kickstart, make sure that you get your all-in-one interview series pack with 30 technologies and over 2,200 question answers with code snippets individually in PDFs. This will cover your UI developer track, mean stack, merge stack, backend developer, databases, testing, contracts, Agile. This is a once a lifetime buy, so make sure that you get your copy at arctutorials.gumroad.com full stack interview questions. If you have any doubt, write to me at surya.aradhya@gmail.com. Alright, let's kickstart with the first one. What is Agile methodology? Whenever we talk about Agile methodology, you should explain that Agile is a project management and software development methodology that emphasizes on iterative development, collaboration, customer feedback, and small rapid releases to deliver high quality software. It helps in higher collaboration, it helps in getting releases faster, it helps in finding defects faster, it helps in shorter release cycles. That's the most important thing about Agile. What are some of the principles of Agile? The key principles of Agile include customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery, welcoming changes even late in development, delivering working software frequently, collaboration between business and developers, and building projects around motivated individuals. These are all some of the key principles without which you will not have higher efficiency or much outcome of your Agile methodology. What is the difference between Agile and traditional waterfall methodology? When we talk about Agile, it's more iterative, it's more incremental, it grows in smaller phases, it's flexible, it's customer focused, it's doing what is right at what is priority. Waterfall is sequential, that means you go step by step. It's rigid, it's process oriented because you have to follow certain process in order to do something. You cannot have change request coming late in the development. It need not to testing is done at the end, whereas in Agile, testing is done alongside the development. The QA team will start writing their test scripts and test cases when the development team is starting writing code. Right? So that's the main highlight and difference that you should talk about Agile and traditional waterfall. Name some of the Agile frameworks. A lot of people thinks Agile is just one framework. Like I said, Agile is a methodology. Okay, and there are a lot of frameworks that are covered as part of Agile. Some of them are Scrum, Kanban, Extreme Programming, Lean, and SAFe, which is Scaled Agile Framework. These are all different variations of Agile frameworks. Now let's talk about some of them. What is Scrum in Agile? Scrum is an agile framework that organizes work into sprints, typically lasting from 2 to 3 weeks to 4 weeks depending on the organization, but usually it's always 2 week sprint which will have roles like product owner, scrum master and development team. When I say development team, it includes both QA as well as developers basically, but we call them development team. They all work in sync. Explain the term sprint. A sprint is a time-boxed iteration in Scrum during which a specific set of tasks must be completed and made ready for review. Which means, let's say you want to build a app or a feature, say login. Now you will break that feature into smaller tasks and then you pull them into a sprint, and as a team you commit that we are going to complete these tasks in 2 weeks time and made it ready for review. If you think it's too much work, you cut down on the scope of it, not the functionality. You commit what you can complete in that particular time period, which I told you usually is around 2 weeks. What are user stories in Agile? User stories are short, simple descriptions of a feature or functionality from the perspective of the end user. Okay. Now story is nothing but you can say I want to display a login page with input for username and an input for password. This could be a simple story that you want to add. These are short, simple, or descriptions of a particular functionality or a feature. What is the definition of done? Definition of done can vary from different enterprises, but in generic we say that it is a shared understanding among the team of what it means for a task to be done. When do you call that a task is completed? That is what is called definition of done. Now in some cases you may have that development should be done. In some enterprises it will say that testing should a unit test should also be covered. In some it will say that the code has to be committed to Bitbucket. In some they'll say build pipeline has to run. These are all part of definition of done, which can again vary from enterprise to enterprise, but overall it is a shared understanding among the team and they agree that when is a task called completed. What is the criteria? That criteria is called as definition of done. Explain the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto consists of 4 values: individuals and interactions over processes and tools. That means we prioritize individuals and interactions rather than we defining a process or a tool. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Unlike waterfall model, we do not spend time, resources into documentation. We prefer working software. That means that's why we create smaller user stories and those are broken down and then a working copy is made ready. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. That means the customer will also be part of the cycle of the sprint. We review with them, we demo them, and we make sure that they are aware of what is being built, with what criteria, with what feature, so we get early feedback. Responding to change over following a plan, which means since customer is involved with the review, with the sign off, that means there could be changes that will come in. And that is why responding to a change is considered an important part of Agile rather than just following a plan. These are the 4 important Agile Manifesto values that you should talk about, especially when they are asked. What are the different roles available in Scrum team? Now, like I mentioned, there will be a product owner who manages the product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but stories that are already written, groomed, and ready for development team to pick up and work. A Scrum Master is the one who facilitates the entire Scrum process. He works with individual team members, he works with any dependency third party teams, and manages the stories, the Jira board, and everything. Development team, this is the core team which actually builds the product, tests the product, and releases the product. How do you prioritize tasks in Agile? So there are a lot of different models that are used, but some of the common ones are Moscow, which is must have, should have, could have, and won't have. You can also use techniques like value versus effort. How much business value it's adding versus how much effort it is going to take. There's also a model called Kano model, which is also preferred in some of the large enterprises. What is a burn down chart? A burn down chart is a graphical representation of work that is left against time in a particular sprint or project. That means how much work is left in this particular sprint, how are we closing the stories. That chart is called your burn down chart. What is velocity in Agile? Velocity measures the amount of work a team completes during a sprint. That means let's say you have 5 developers. Now each one can complete 2 points. That means in your velocity of this sprint will be 10 points, right? Ideally, a solid dev team should be clocking anywhere between 30 to 40 points in a particular sprint. Explain Kanban in Agile. Kanban focuses on visualizing workflow, limiting work in progress, and optimizing flow. So Kanban is more like a visualizing workflow. It will have its own swim lanes where work comes, and then you move to the next, and so on. So you basically move the tasks in the swim lanes based on certain status that you want to add it to the storyboard. What is a retrospective in Agile? Retrospective is nothing but it's a meeting at the end of the sprint where all the team members, stakeholders, business clients get together and they review the work done. They talk about what went well, what can be improved, and what needs to continue. This is an important meeting which the Scrum Master will conduct in order to gather information to see what help or what team needs and what needs to be provided in order to become better in delivery. How do agile teams estimate tasks? Now, this is one of the most commonly asked questions because it's not easy to kind of estimate, right? Every team, every company will have their own different process of how they estimate, but some of the commonly used ones are we use planning poker. Now, in this, each team member will give a size of and points basically estimation that it's a 3 pointer, it's a 5 pointer, it's an 8 pointer, and then you justify that why it's a 5 pointer story or an 8 pointer story, how much time it is, what all feature needs to be covered. So thorough discussion and coming up with a estimation is called planning poker. T-shirt sizing. Here what we do is that we provide sizing, basically small, medium, large, etc. So that way you know that how big that story is. And that's very important to get a closest estimate. Remember, you will not always get the correct estimation, but the idea again is to see how close we can come there. Story points, I talked about it. We can give story points, say it's a 1 pointer story, 2 pointer story, like that. And that means that how big or how complex the story is, and based on that we can give story points. What is continuous integration in Agile? Continuous integration is a part of merging code changes into shared repository or your branch, basically a master or a dev or a QA or a UAT build where you push the changes at the end of the sprint. Now this is very important because whatever work we have done needs to be in sync with the branches. This is also an important criteria when you consider it as part of a DoD, which is definition of done. How do you handle changes in Agile? Changes are always welcome. I told you the teams are flexible in accommodating the what is important, what is priority for the business. So changes are welcomed and integrated into product backlog, prioritized and implemented. Some may be hot fixes which may also come in on a urgent basis. Okay. If they are not a hot fix or an urgent fix, they go back to product backlog and are then prioritized by the product owner. What is a minimum viable product? An MVP is the smallest version of the product. What you can build a working functionality is called an MVP. That is minimum viable product. The basic is that you build a smallest version of say whatever you want. Let's say you are building a login form. At least you can build the login UI, if not the entire integration with the backend. Right? So that's the smallest version that you can build. Now again, that depends on each story, each functionality that you want to break it up. What are some of the agile metrics that are captured by product owners and scrum masters? Velocity of the team. That means how many story points are we doing is one of the critical metrics we capture. We capture the burn down chart. We capture the cycle time, lead time, and we can also capture the cumulative flow diagram. Okay, but important reports like I said, burn down chart, velocity, these are some of the important ones that everybody should know and should know how it will affect your work. Alright, that's all for today, but I'll continue this series. Make sure that you get all the 30 plus technologies interview question answer series with detailed code snippets. It's a once in a lifetime buy for everyone. You can get your copy at arctutorials.gumroad.com, and it covers 30 technologies that are written here. You can see you can get UI developer role, mean stack, MERN stack, developer, backend developer, database, and much more. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay cool, stay happy, and keep learning. Thank you so much.